Everyone, welcome to the show. So, you guys have probably heard by now that Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked. This was early Friday morning by a right wing Q-loon conspiracy theorist named David Wayne DePape. Apparently, he used to be a left winger, at least that's from some of his writing, some of his posts, but he was clearly radicalized by the right based on his recent writings, based on his racism, his anti Semitism. Some people are saying, oh, well, these writings, all of this stuff hasn't been confirmed to be his. Well, that's actually not true because he has a daughter, allegedly, that is 20 something years old, maybe 20. She has confirmed that these are his writings, that she used to follow his writings. If you haven't heard, if you were living under a rock, if you were on another planet since Friday, here's what went down. Here are the facts, not the BS conspiracy theories being peddled by the right. DePape used a hammer. He broke the glass of a door at Pelosi's home around 2 a.m. on Friday morning. He was carrying zip ties with him. Sound familiar? He awoke Pelosi's husband, Paul, and he started shouting at him, "Where's Nancy?" That too sounds familiar. Yes? Speaker Nancy Pelosi was not in the House because she was in Washington, D.C. Therefore, her security detail was with her. So DePape attempted to use the zip ties to restrain Paul Pelosi, who told the intruder, "I have to use the bathroom." Well, he used that as an excuse because his phone was charging in the bathroom. So when he was in there, he called 911, but he wasn't able to speak with the dispatcher. So she was able, luckily, to discern that Paul Pelosi was in distress, that he needed immediate assistance. So she issued an alert for the police to respond immediately. That's what saved his life. When the police arrived, they witnessed the broken glass on the ground. They found Paul Pelosi and DePape holding on to a hammer. Initially, it sounded like they each had a hammer, but now it sounds like they were holding on to the same hammer and fighting over it. DePape told the police, "We're waiting for Nancy. We're waiting for Nancy to come home." His intention supposedly was to hogtie Mr. Pelosi, hold him there, hold him prisoner until Nancy got there. And then he successfully, while the police were there, pulled the hammer away from Paul, hit him with it. He struck Paul in the head as well as the arm and his hand before officers jumped him, DePape meaning, and subdued him. So Paul Pelosi suffered a skull fracture. He also has injuries to his hand and his arm. He was immediately rushed to the hospital where he underwent surgery on his head to repair the fracture. Everyone is saying that he is expected to make a full recovery, and DePape is now in jail. He is supposed to be arraigned tomorrow, and he is expected to be charged with a multitude of crimes, including attempted murder. It's now being reported, too, that the police found a list of additional targets at his home. They haven't come right out and called it a hit list, but they said that they believe that DePape was planning additional attacks. So Retrumplicans, of course, immediately started sharing conspiracy theories. They began circulating a picture of a Black man. Again, of course, they're claiming that this is DePape and saying, oh, he's a leftist. So they don't even have the picture of the right person. DePape is a white male. He wrote hundreds of racist, anti-Semitic, conspiracy-riddled blog posts that perfectly align with today's GQP. And then the photos that are of him, like the ones that they have that are legitimate, they have one that's circulating. And in this photo, he was recording a nude wedding that took place in 2013. So nearly a decade old. But the right is falsely claiming that it's a photo of DePape filming at the Capitol on January 6th and that he works for the media. But they call us sheep and they call everybody else fake news. And let me say this for the people in the back. I am not a liberal, quote unquote liberal. I am a progressive, and I am not a Pelosi fan or stan. Quite the contrary. I believe she lies, and she far too often has used her position to block progressive agenda, to block populist legislation that would help working families. That's why I'm not a fan. I also believe that she has used her position and insider information to make her family insanely wealthy. Having said that, what happened to her husband is unconscionable. It is obscene. And I do 100% blame right-wing media and right-wing so-called leaders, quote unquote, for placing a target on her back and normalizing political violence, which is just another phrase for domestic terrorism, by the way. So DePape, in my opinion, should also be charged with terrorism. And I don't want to hear the both sides bullshit on this. For every one unhinged leftist, there are 10,000 right-wing nut jobs ready to commit an act of violence to achieve their political goals. And if the right thinks that this violence is going to remain in their neighbor's backyard, they really haven't studied history. Inserting violence into the political system, it's like a virus. So it will make its way throughout the country. And it will affect everyone at some point. And it could be someone you like, someone you revere, someone you look up to, someone who you love. And as I've often said, the biggest mistake the right will ever make is believing that the left doesn't like or own guns. And yet you have high-profile, alleged tweaker Donald Trump Jr. out there on Twitter sharing a vile meme, making a joke about this near fatal attack on an 82-year-old man. He posted a picture of underwear and a hammer, and it said, Paul Pelosi Halloween costume. There literally is no bottom with these heinous people. They are inhuman. And someone really needs to tell little Donnie daddy issues. He can post 100 million classless memes. It still won't make his apricot antichrist of a father like him. In fact, you know what it does, little Donnie? It just makes more people realize why your dad hates you so much. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.